Now this finally brings me to the last section of my talk, which is HPV vaccine undisclosed risks. And I would like to begin this section with a testimony of Emily Tarsell submitted to the US Senate Subcommittee on Investigations on July 15, 2025. Now, Emily is a friend of mine and a mother whose daughter Christina died from a cardiac arrhythmia following Gardasil vaccination. And in her testimony, Emily stated that she found infuriating to go to the CDC website and read statements that said that the reports of death have been investigated and have been found to be due to other causes. But the fact is that not only was Christina's case never fully investigated, the others she knew about were also never investigated either. Moreover, through a Freedom of Information Act request, she learned that Merck posted a VAERS report in which they basically made a false claim that Chris died from a viral infection, and this claim was basically attributed to the reporting physician. But this was actually not the case, the actual physician never made any such claim, as you will see from the following documents. These are the documents that have been given to me by Emily Tarsell, and this is a copy of the VAERS report that Merck posted on VAERS, containing the false information stating that Christina's death was caused by was due to likely inflammation in the spleen caused by a viral infection. And here you can see excerpts from Mount Sinai's official letter to Emily Tarsell saying that they had no idea where that information came from. As Dr. Jacobstein, who was the examiner and the reporter of the adverse event, never stated that Christina's death was due to inflammation of the spleen caused by a virus. And also the pathologist Carrie Reiber, who did the autopsy and wrote Christina's autopsy report, likewise stated that there was no evidence of a viral infection on autopsy. Now, Emily Tarsell did file a claim in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, and after a long battle, the judge did rule in her favor and awarded compensation for her daughter's death following Gardasil vaccination. And subsequently, the expert witnesses involved in Emily's claim to the Vaccine Compensation Program published a case report on Christina's death, which discussed the likely biological mechanism by which Gardasil HPV vaccine may have caused fatal cardiac arrhythmias in some individuals, because Christina is not the only case. Now here is another case report, and that of a fatal acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis of a 14-year-old boy who received a 9-valent HPV vaccine, Gardasil. Now, these authors also discussed the biologically plausible mechanisms by which the Gardasil vaccine could cause fatal neurological autoimmune outcomes like acute disseminated encephalomyelitis and its severe form, acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. Both of these conditions are granted very rare, but the question I'd like to ask you is, do you want this to be your son and daughter? And also note that the acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis is fatal in almost 70% of pediatric cases. Now, it is further important to note that by now we have a good number of case reports in addition to a biologically plausible mechanism to explain how conditions like acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis might occur in HPV vaccinated individuals, which, according to these authors, again, these are physicians, these are not my words, these are the physicians who examined this boy. And if we can go back to the slide. So they conclude that these case reports strongly suggest that HPV vaccination played a causal role in the onset of acute disseminated encephalomyelitis in the patients described. And so, on one hand, we have our Croatian doctor Neda Ferencic-Vrban and the Croatian Cancer League, who are paid by the HPV vaccine manufacturers, telling us that there are no adverse events from this vaccine. While on the other hand, you have clinicians without any conflict of interest telling us the very opposite. And now, well, whom are you going to trust?
Yeah. Simple question and a very easy answer.
Now, next, we have more reports on encephalitis following HPV vaccination, and this article reported an investigation of the World Health Organization Adverse Event Database, VIGIBase, and found a significant signal of overreporting of encephalitis following vaccination with several vaccines, including the HPV vaccine. And the authors stated that the clinicians need to be aware of these potential risks. And again, ask yourself, are your physician and the promoters of the mandatory HPV vaccine bill in Croatia giving you all the relevant information of benefits and risk of HPV vaccine that would allow you to make a truly informed consent? Or are they simply parroting the HPV vaccine manufacturers' safe and effective propaganda? Now, the article cited here further notes that encephalitis is not listed in the HPV vaccine product information leaflet. Well, neither are cardiac arrhythmias or sudden death, and neither are many other types of adverse events reported in the scientific literature to date. In my own investigation of the US VAERS database, I found numerous safety signals of overreporting of adverse events following Gardasil vaccinations, and these are listed in my expert witness report that is freely available at the University of California, San Francisco website. Now, the conditions most significantly overreported following Gardasil vaccination, according to my analysis, are autonomic nervous system disorders, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic pain syndromes, peripheral neuropathies, and the list goes on, ovarian failure or premature menopause, menstrual abnormalities, and permanent disability events. Note also that many of these signals have been verified by studies published independently by other researchers. And here is one example. These authors have also found overreporting of adverse events not listed in the Gardasil product information leaflet in their analysis of the US VAERS. And some of these adverse events, again, include disorders of the autonomic nervous system. And so it appears that to this date, medical and regulatory entities worldwide continue to provide inaccurate information regarding HPV vaccine risks and benefits that basically makes informed consent regarding vaccinations impossible.